Hello and welcome to the Gary Dunn Show for September 11th, 2018. I'm your host, Gary Smith, and on today's show, we're going to talk to Coach Dunn about this past week's game at Kutztown, and then we're going to take a trip around the PSAC looking at scores and standing, and then we'll break down this upcoming week's opponent, the Shippensburg Red Raiders. But without further ado, Coach, welcome back to your show. And before we start talking about football, I think we have to talk about the weather. We'd be the only show on TV not talking about the weather this week.
Yeah.
What insane amount of rain we had the past 2 days.
Yeah, it's been nuts. Luckily, we were able to get outside last evening and get a good practice in the rain. And I think it's the first time this group has had a rain practice. So that's good. You know, you always, as a coach, look for the positives of things, and for us to prepare in rain and conditions that we haven't played in yet, hopefully down the road that'll help us out.
And somehow, whatever you and your staff did to pray to the weather gods on Saturday to get that game in without any thunder, lightning, or rain was, you know, keep doing it, because we can have days like that. I actually felt like a football Saturday, probably the first time all year. I mean, we got to the stadium, there were hoodies out and hot dogs being grilled and everything like that. It was just a great, finally, felt like football season.
Yeah, great weather. A little wind, but you know that's part of it. We play an outdoor football, you know, an outdoor game, and you're going to have those conditions. But it was a good day overall as far as weather goes.
And Saturday was, you know, Kutztown, a team that California doesn't traditionally play. They're in the East. I think we've played them maybe less than 20 times in the almost 100-year history of California football, and it's a team. Last time you played them was your first year. What's it like preparing for a team that you don't see all the time, and a team that's in the other side of the conference?
Yeah, you know, your preparation's the same. We got game film over the summer, and we're able to watch what they did last year. We got their first game this year, and we're able to watch that. You really try and prepare the same way. It's just early in the season, no matter who you're playing, you don't have as many games to watch. You know, this week's opponent, we've only got 2 games this season on them, so you try and do as much work and diligent as you can, but you just don't have a lot of information. As you get into week 5, week 6, week 7, you've got 7 game films you can go back and watch and find different things. Early in the season, you really got to focus on what you're good at, because you don't know your opponent as well as you would like to.
And going into the game, it really felt like a big game atmosphere early in the season. First conference game, first crossover game. I feel like a broken record saying it, but another road game for your team, 5th out of 6 weeks in a row. But it really felt like a big game atmosphere on Saturday at Kutztown.
Yeah, it was a great atmosphere. And I think, you know, I talked to our team yesterday in our team meeting that we're everybody's Super Bowl. Everyone is going to get amped up to play California. We're going to get everybody's best shot. And we certainly got Kutztown best shot on Saturday. They played extremely well in all 3 phases. We played well at times. And what I've told the team yesterday was we've played well enough to win, to be 2-0 at times. But we haven't played consistently enough to guarantee victory, and that's really where we're at right now. We've got some things, some issues and some things we've got to work on. Proud of our team's effort, man. You talk about going on the road and playing 2 really, really good football teams. You know, you go to Ohio Dominican, who's 2-0 right now, and in the top 25, you go to Kutztown, who went to Assumption and beat them and playing their first home game. We've played 2 really good football teams on the road, and we haven't played consistently enough to guarantee victory. We've played well enough to win, and you can tell that by the score, but we've got to get more consistent, be able to put 4 quarters together in all 3 phases to guarantee victory.
And it really felt, watching that game, it felt like an old-fashioned heavyweight title fight, because that first half, it seemed like, you know, you guys were swinging from the floor and connecting. It seemed like time Kutztown was swinging from the floor, connecting, and then the second half it turned into a more of a tactical possession-by-possession game, and it was just something to watch, just to see the changes your staff made throughout the game, and just to see how your team responded to what they were doing.
Yeah, you know, at Kutztown, give them credit. They deserved to win the game. They made more plays, and you know, at the end of the day, they made 1 more play than we did. But it was a good football game. I tell you what, I'm really proud of our effort and how our kids continue to battle. This is 2 weeks in a row, unfortunately, that we've went into halftime with a lead. The third quarter hasn't went our way. We're going to address that today at practice and work on that and try and get a little bit more focused mentally in that third quarter, coming out of the halftime, ready to go. But both games, we were down two possessions in the fourth quarter, fought back and had a chance to win the game at the end. And, you know, our guys are going to continue to battle. We talk about all the time, it's about the process. It's about the next play. Drop whatever bad happened and let's move on to the next play. And really, 2 weeks in a row, I feel like a broken record. You probably could have just re-recorded last week's show. We came up a little bit short because we ran out of time. You know, but proud of our guys' efforts.
And the effort, I tell you what, effort on the offensive side was there the entire game, both sides. But we'll talk about the offense real quick. Freshman quarterback Noah Mitchell, over 400 yards passing. And I tell you what, He had the deep ball going, man. He threw two of the prettiest balls that we've seen I've seen in quite some time, mainly because I'm in the truck and I was in the press box this game, but the throw that he had to Chad Livingston in the first half was just, I don't think you could have put that in any better of a spot.
Yeah, Noah's playing really well right now. He is picking up our offense, and really his second college game to throw for over 400 yards. We had a couple possessions. His stats could have been a little bit better, but we had receivers, and I think I really like our receiving core because we're not one-dimensional. The first week Jordan Andridge had a big game. Then this week, Chad Livingston and Tyson Hill have big games. So that's going to help us down the road. But Noah's playing well. The offensive line is doing a good job of protecting. We gave up 1 sack in 2 weeks, and we've thrown the ball quite a bit. So it's all kind of coming together. We just need to make that one more possession to score, and we're sitting here with different results. But really proud of the way Noah's playing. He's a student of the game. He was in the office this morning. He was in the office yesterday. He wants to be great. He wants to learn. He's trusting his guys on the outside to make plays. And then, you talk about a guy, Chad Livingston, who gives you everything he has and all the time in all 3 phases. He plays some special teams for us. He has no disregard for his body, and he was an example I gave some of the guys yesterday. Here's a guy that isn't maybe the greatest athlete in the world, but plays so hard, and good things happen to people that play like that, and he's a great example of that.
I tell you what, every time you see the number 80 out there, it seems like he's going about 150 miles an hour, making plays left and right. So it's going to be exciting to watch as the season unfolds. And you touched a little bit about the quarterback play. We had a Twitter question this week going into the quarterback play. And it's what kind of confidence does it give you as a coach and your team that, you have a freshman quarterback managing the game well as he has? You said he is really putting your team in position to win. And
yeah, he's playing extremely well. There's a couple throws that he's going to want back, or a couple decisions that he made, but that's football. And as many plays as we run, we're not going to be perfect, but he is giving us an opportunity to win. We're moving the football. We're doing a good job in the pass game and in our RPO game. We need to clean up the run game a little bit. That's something that's only going to make us better. But both teams are really saying we're going to take the run away. We're going to make your freshman quarterback beat us, and he's playing well enough for us to win ball games. And the greatest thing about him is how calm he is, how poised he is, and how great he wants to be. He puts tremendous time in the office with Coach Salisbury, and it's showing.
And I tell you what, another thing we can put in the broken record category, it seems like we talk every week last year, and this is the first time we're talking about it this way because we're only 2 games in, but special teams blocked extra point early in the game, really changed momentum early on, and also a key field goal towards the end of that first half. And your special teams in the first 2 games have really at times shifted the field for your offense or your defense, depending on what.
Yeah, we put a lot of time into special teams, and Coach Wilson really does a great job of feeling the pulse of our team. And he puts our guys in position to make plays. The PAT block that you were talking about, that's something that we work on. We worked on it last night. That's something that we take pride in. Now we've got some things, special teams, to clear up. We've got to get our kick return unit going a little bit better. Our punting game hurt us a little bit on Saturday, but the effort is there, and the attention to detail from Coach Wilson and what he does is there. But we've got a lot of young guys playing on those units, and I think they're going to continue to get better week after week. A guy by the name of Logan Burnsworth went down and made some great plays on kickoff. Cam Tarrant, who played in his first college football game, made 2 solo tackles on kickoff. So I think as we continue to grow and develop, you're going to see those phases get even better and better as guys get used to playing on Saturday football.
Well, talking about Saturday football, let's take a look back at this past Saturday at Kutztown, and then after the break, we'll take a look back at the last time we played this upcoming week's opponent, the Shippensburg Red Raiders. We'll be back after this commercial break right here on The Gary Dunn Show on CUTV.
Brown behind Mitchell in the backfield. Mitchell with the handoff, finds a hole, plows his way into the end zone. California scores. Mitchell drops back to pass, has a man. Chad Livingston catches it, makes 2 men miss at the 5, into the end zone. Chad Livingston, his 2nd touchdown of the season. DeGalbo keeps it at the 5, at the goal line, into the end zone. DeGalbo with a rushing touchdown to put more points up on the Kutztown board. Mitchell drops back, finds a man down the field. That's Livingston. Livingston at the 50, gets it. No one in front of him. A couple Golden Bears behind him, but he's at the 10. He's at the 5, into the end zone. Chad Livingston, another touchdown for the sophomore Vulcan. Reynolds, the man to his left. Reynolds gets the ball, hands it off, finds a hole easily, making his way into the end zone. Snap is up, kick is up, and the kick is good. Also, Brooks puts 3 points up for the Vulcans. Once again, DeGalbo and his offense back on the field. DeGalbo keeps it after the fake handoff. DeGalbo has room on his left, down the sideline, at the 30, at the 20, beats the Vulcans at the 10. Touchdown, Kutztown. Craig Reynolds drives the ball in. Looks like he's in the end zone for a Golden Bears touchdown. Mitchell gets the ball, hands it off to Brown. Brown makes a couple people miss in the end zone. Here's Brown for another rushing touchdown. A minute 20 now. Clock is still moving. Mitchell has a couple men downfield. Intercepted by Kutztown. And that's going to be the ball game.
California University of Pennsylvania Athletics has a long tradition of excellence on the playing field.
In the classroom and in the community.
The Athletics Day of Giving supports excellence in Cal U athletics.
And its success begins with you.
We need your help to reach our fundraising goals in support of athletic scholarships.
Student athletes need your help.
Our student athletes have a higher academic success rate than the national average.
More than half of our student athletes have a GPA of 3.0 or higher.
Our student athletes are constantly recognized as successful in our conference and at the national level.
Help us help our student athletes.
Your gift will make a difference in the lives of student athletes as they work hard in the game and in the classroom.
Join us today, September 25th, for our Athletics Day of Giving.
Every gift counts. Visit www.calu.edu/athletics-give to make your gift.
Cal U.
Hamilton was adopted from a rescue in 2008. He really likes to be around people. And as soon as I start to make my breakfast, Hamilton is right there. I get out my mat and I'm doing a downward dog and he's underneath. He's quite the pug about town. He gets invited to a lot of parties. He knows he's a pretty big deal. I mean, look at this little face. How could you not love him?
Toast does whatever she wants, obviously. She's sleeping right now. She's an epic snuggler. She's so comforting. She's so loving. Toast makes me laugh.
Saturdays are for the Vulcans. At Ohio Dominican. At Kutztown. At Shippensburg. Home versus Edinboro. Coble versus IUP. At Clarion. Homecoming versus Gannon. At Mercyhurst. Home versus Slippery Rock. At Seton Hill. Home versus Westchester. Catch all the action live on CUTV and WCAL.
High school football is back on CUTV. Brownsville versus Bentworth. Upper Dauphin versus Millersburg. Charleroi versus Fraser. California versus Washington. Bell Vernon versus Greensburg-Salem. Elizabeth Ford versus North Catholic. Carmichaels versus Union. Ringgold versus West Mifflin. Beth Center versus Fraser. Catch all the action on your home for high school football. CUTV, California University Television.
Hand off again to Franklin, and he will get into the end zone. California strikes first in the same fashion they did last week. John Franklin rushing it in from about 3 yards out. They hand off to Smith, and Smith will not get in. Low snap, Dean's kick is up, and it is good. So Billy Dean is able to give Shippensburg their first lead of the game. Harris hands it off to Franklin, into the end zone, touchdown California. It's 13-10 with a chance for the extra point coming up. Harris looking to that side, throws into the end zone, and it's caught. Devin Lomax on the reception. Harris over the middle. It's complete to Smory. He's going to run into the end zone as they're breaking some tackles. What a play, Luke Smory. Team's punt is away. It's a T-point taken at about the 5. Terry, 4 defenders there. He evades them all. He breaks another tackle. He's at the 20. He's got some room. He's in midfield. He's going around. He's going to take it back. So, as I said, he could take it back, but there's a flag right in midfield, so we'll see. Our player to watch, Aaron Terry, may have taken this one back. As the punt is away, and it's a booming kick all the way back inside the 20, Shippensburg territory. Lardani from behind, cannot get Mayer. He's dangerous as a punt returner. He's in the sideline, and he's gonna take it back if he can beat another man, and he will. Touchdown, Shippensburg. Mayer in motion. It's going to be a fade to Mayer. He's wide open, and it's caught for a touchdown, Shippensburg. Kick is up, and it is good. So, team is able to get it through the uprights. It's an 8-point game. 5 receivers, Zapaticki. Ready to throw, he's gonna roll out. That's a couple guys following him, and he's gonna be intercepted! Cal-U ball! California comes away with a huge turnover.
And welcome back to the Gary Dunn Show. I'm Gary Smith, and joined with Coach Dunn. And Coach, we had a look back at last time we played this upcoming week's opponent, Shippensburg, which was 3 years ago, on about 102-degree day in Adamson Stadium, in a game in which both teams, I think, had over 90-some stops on offense. We were talking off camera about Shippensburg, a lot of depth, and probably a lot of those guys on the team this year played in that game. So how do they look 2 games in on tape for this Saturday's game?
Really solid football team across the board. You know, they were an NCAA playoff team a year ago. And they've got most of those guys back. You know, I was looking at their depth chart: senior, redshirt senior, junior, redshirt junior. You know, so an experienced ball club that's won a lot of football games. They've kind of been battling out there in the East the last couple of years for that championship. We were able to get into the playoffs last year. Really well coached, just solid all around, all 3 phases. It's going to be a 4-quarter battle, and we're going to have to play our best football.
And it always seems, no matter what the era or whatever the game or what the situations around the game, it seems like the Cal Shippensburg game is a high-scoring affair. No matter if the 2 teams are defensive-oriented or high-powered offenses. And back in the day, Shippensburg ran a wing tee. It seemed like those games were 40 to 35 games. Is that something you see this week, or do you think it could be a low-scoring game?
Yeah, you can never tell. You know, when you watch film, they're very good offensively. Their quarterback does a nice job. They got a nice O-line. They're just solid across the board and do a good job with their offensive scheme. Defensively, they're really good. They've got, I think, they're probably 2 premier safeties in the league. They got 2 all-conference defensive ends that are wrecking havoc right now. You know, I'm watching them against their last opponent, and one kid I think had 3 sacks, drew 2 holding calls. He's a really, really good football player. So they're just solid across the board. You know, and you know, you never know in college football. It basically boils down to turnovers and big plays. So those are 2 things that we've got to talk about. We've got to preach. We've got to eliminate the big plays on defense, and we've got to take care of the football on offense. And you know, we're going to go out and play hard and see where we're at.
It's another road game. Like I said, started the season off with 3 straight road games. So the closest one, I mean, it's only about 2 hours and 15 minutes, 2 hours and 20 minutes. But in the first 2 games, in Columbus for Ohio and against Ohio Dominican, and then this past week, Kutztown, I tell you what, the Vulcan faithful showed up in droves. I mean, the visiting stands have been packed, and that's got to be a great thing for you and your team to look up and see, you know, red and black in the stands instead of, you know, empty bleachers.
Yeah, our parents do a great job of obviously following their student athletes and their sons, and then we had a great alumni turnout this weekend. I had a former coach of mine here that was there. One of my former teammates was there. Another guy from the 60s was there. You know, so we do get a lot of fan support, and we certainly appreciate it, especially when we're on the road. You know, this is kind of a unique deal where we're on the road 3 straight weeks. It is what it is. We're embracing the challenge. I think our guys like being on the road. They like getting off campus. But you know, it's one of those deals where you know, when you make the schedule, you got to go play all of them. And, you know, we're excited to have another opportunity this weekend.
And I tell you what, when we pulled in about 10:30 or 9:30 actually on Saturday for the game, you know, if you just looked at the parking lot, you would have had a hard time knowing if it was a Kutztown home game because the one lower parking lot was complete red and black. And like I said, when we looked out, there were times in that game that, you know, I think the visiting side was a little bit more loud than the home side. So that's got to be great, like I said, for you and your team.
And I think that's a neat thing and a great thing about this league because you know, once you get into these crossover games, everything's in earshot. I can remember when I played, my parents went to every game and traveled and had a group of parents that they hung out with. You know, it's a neat league because you do have these rivalries. You know, you were talking about a shootout every time Cal's plays Shippensburg. I believe it was my junior year. We were losing 37-35 at halftime. So it's, you know, we threw 5 touchdown passes to the same receiver and we're still losing. So, you know, that's college football. And I think that's the great thing about this league is you still, and I've said it before, you still have regional rivalries and you know, a lot of their guys we've recruited, a lot of our guys they've recruited. So it's going to be a fun Saturday. And
that game will be Saturday at Shippensburg at noon. You can catch all the action live on 91.9 FM WCIL and also watch the live stream with 3G service because we're not really sure what it's like out in Shippensburg, but you can check out the live stream on CUTV Sports 1. And we're going to put a bow on last week's action with the scores and standings from around the PSAC before we end this week's show. We talked about California Kutztown, Millersville and Indiana. That game was played last Thursday. Indiana 41-7 over Millersville. Clarion over Lock Haven 30-21, and then Westchester over Gannon 31-7. And moving on to the other 8 games, or the other 4 games, the other 8 teams in the PSAC, as this was the first weekend of crossover play. Mercyhurst playing Tiffin, losing to Tiffin. I believe Mercyhurst was supposed to be playing Cheney that week. Sure. Because don't know if we went any more teams to the PSAC. We got about 27 teams. So Tiffin 24-20 over Mercyhurst. Shippensburg 25 over Slippery Rock 25-21, and that was a game that was back and forth, played the same time Cal Kutztown was. Edinboro and Bloomsburg, Edinboro getting the win over Bloomsburg 21-16, and then in another shootout, East Stroudsburg over Seton Hill 41-34, and we're going to move right on into the PSAC standings after week 2 in the season. Of course, no divisional standings, but overall, Edinburgh, Indiana 2-0, a couple teams at 1-1, 0-2, and then a lot of football left to be played. And looking over at the PSAC East standings early on, Kutztown, Shippensburg, and Westchester 2-0 and then 1-1. So, Coach, again, I mean, there's a lot of good football played on each side of the state and a lot of football left to be played. We're only in week 3, and it's
absolutely
hard to believe. And we're going to have a home game next week, but, you know, got to go on the road this week.
Yeah, going to a tough place to play. You see Shippensburg's 2-0. They've got 2 big wins under the belt. Beat Clarion week 1, beat Slippery Rock week 2 in a big win. You know, probably right on the edge of being a top 25 team, being a playoff team a year ago. So it's going to be a battle, but I know our guys will go and they'll compete, and we're going to play hard.
And like I said, make sure if you make the trip, it's the shortest road trip of the 6 so far. Just a simple drive on the turnpike. We all passed it last week.
Yeah.
I mean, probably could have saved some time and money just by staying out for the week.
I would have been all right with that.
But, you know, hope to see a lot of red and black in the stands. Game is at noon. Like I said, if you can't make it, you can listen on 91.9 FM. You can also download the Radio FX app. So if you're out of the earshot of our over-the-air signal, you can listen to it that way as well. And also, like I said, check CUTV Sports 1. If you subscribe, you'll get the notification once we go live from Shippensburg. So, Coach, thanks again. Let's do it again next week.
Well, looking forward to it. Hopefully we get different results. We can make one more play than we have the first 2 weeks. But, you know, like I said, really proud of our guys, and I know we're going to show up and compete.
Sounds good. We'll see you at Shippensburg on Saturday. For Coach Dunn, I'm Gary Smith. We'll see you next week on CUTV for The Gary Dunn Show.